The Radio Misfits Podcast Network.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Planted with Sara Pine. I'm Sara Pine, your host, and we are on our second day at MJ Unpacked in St. Louis. And today, I have a very special guest that I'm just so happy to have on the show, David Tran, the founder of the iconic Dope magazine and also Farechild events. If you've ever been to one of David's events, you know what I'm talking about. It's kind of hard to put into words, but he puts together community and heart in such a special way. And David, my friend. I'm just so happy to have you here. So thanks for joining me.
Hi, Sarah. How are you?
Good.
A pleasure, too. A real honor over on this side.
Oh, man. I don't know if you know this, but the first time that I was ever in a cannabis magazine, it was dope.
Amazing.
It was when I was a bud tender.
Love it. Absolutely. And the stories, continue. I just think, doesn't matter what you were doing in it, as long as you're a part of it, a part of that history. So I think I love it.
Yeah, I do too. I love the community. I love just all the magic that happens, and what you've done with media and now what you do to bring people together is a huge part of the heart of what we do. And that somebody was talking about collaboration in the industry the other day and was saying, some people were saying we're oversaturated with collaboration, but collaboration is the highest vibration, I feel like, in so many ways. And you and I have had some conversations about that, but what are some of your thoughts on collaboration, community, kind of the energy that you do so much to bring forward with what we all do?
Yeah. And I would say that's a purpose, to me, bringing people together has been something, I knew from the beginning when I first started smoking cannabis, is that, you're connecting with people that you've never connected with before, under, this plant, and we're just having this fun time. We were being liberated. And to me, I just think being a part of that was absolutely amazing. And, to me, it's a stewardship to talk about this plant now. I've been involved with it for just so long, and it just, it continues to rediscover itself in everyone's life.
Yeah.
And to me, just the idea that, we were able to talk about it, like from its infancy of learning about medical, and, I was learning too about what that was. So it made me even more curious about what it could do. And the only way to do that is really like to talk to people. So, yeah.
Well, I'm going to go back just a little bit further in time. What was your first cannabis experience?
Oh, yeah. It was behind a 7-Eleven with a pop can. Yeah. With my girlfriend. And we were just like, I was like, dude, we're about to go to school dance. I was like, yep, I'm going to get Dave Rip for the first time. And I smoked out of a can. It was like... I was like at that dance, I was like, oh my God, my legs are like, look at this dancing. Like, I'm like, my feet are just like, and yeah, ever since then, it was like, it was cool.
Yeah. And what brought you to create Dope magazine? Because for those of you who may be new to cannabis or new to the industry, if you've been in cannabis for any longer length of time, or you're in media, Dope. Dope was one of the foundational magazines in cannabis, and you did so many beautiful things with it. But what brought you to that? Because were you doing hospitality before Dope, or after, or during at the same time?
It was during. Yeah, I had a medical store.
Okay.
In Ballard, and I was just learning about the plant too, and like how really medical it was. It was like, you were doing it more out of fantasy, like just like, wow, this is very fascinating. And then you really start seeing patients walk through that door.
Yeah.
And ultimately at the end, I'm someone that always thinks about like, how do you get the word out? How do you tell the story? And I think there was very few options, and we just decided to do it. And to me, in the spirit of collaboration of you're talking about, just working with partners and friends I've known for a long time that are in that business that can actually do it really professionally and well. And I think that has always been like a staple of how you grow, is just like find the professional, find people that are really passionate, and just surround yourself with those people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, how many years did Dope go for?
Oh, like 8 years.
Yeah, it was a good long
Yeah, it
time.
was. It was a amazing run. It was a lot. It's a lot of experience. A lot of, it's a long history. From legalization all the way till how it's commercialized, and then at some point, it's how do you tell a bigger story?
Yeah. Well, and that was one of the things that I really loved about the magazine. You told very human stories. I mean, because I was working in a dispensary at that time, and there was nothing more fulfilling than seeing somebody who had been affected by stigma in cannabis that I hadn't even thought of it as an option, and seeing them have that aha moment in the medical days. And we're still seeing it now. We just don't talk about it as much, and I think we should. But the fact that they were kept from something that gave them relief. Yeah. And you had a lot of conversations about that in the magazine.
Yeah. The DOPE actually stands for Defending Our Patients Everywhere. That's how it started. So we talked about patients. We had a patient of the month. It was hyper local. So we gave ounce of weed to a patient. We'd tell their story. And to me, everything that we were doing started evolving. Defending our patients everywhere started becoming defending our plant everywhere. That would be the people, the planet, like really like bigger subjects that we were doing. So, we were following that drumbeat and, also telling the story about like how it's evolving, like from a legalization point of view to, where it's become right now. So I think it's just a great experience. And, to be in the middle of that, I just don't think you ever forget about that.
Yeah. Well, and the fact that we can now like do things like this, get together out in public and not worry about anything. Or I was reflecting with somebody the other day about the MJ Awards. It's an honor to be nominated. But what even took me back even more, that gave me that moment of just like really reflective, grateful pause, was the fact that we can do it. You can do an awards ceremony where you highlight people that are doing good work in the business, and we can do that freely without any repercussions from the government.
Yeah, and I think recognizing people and recognizing the hard work that goes into what's being built, and I don't think people really grasp an understanding of, depending on the small operator to the big operator, there are certainly, to me, hurdles that are, to me, uncontrollable, and at the same time, too, very hard to be able to succeed. So, coming here to MJ Impact and watching people who have done it for a while and still waiting for that moment when legislation starts to change and, real like business practices can be handled for the sacrifice. I certainly feel like, we're still doing that battle, and that's why we're here. So
yeah, I mean, that's going to be the ultimate getting one's flowers, is when we can overcome a lot of these hurdles and be like any other business.
Yes, for sure. Absolutely. Yes.
So what are some of the things that in the past few years have been really exciting to you?
Oh, in cannabis, it'll always be about connecting. It's always about like also, being someone that's been here for a long time. How do you connect people so they can be successful faster? Because no one wants to make mistakes and spend money making mistakes. I think we kind of go beyond that, because even all at par level, it's still competitive.
Right.
So needless to say, I am optimistic about, the community, always, right? And I think we'll always support the community, who provides this, because this is important. We have yet to crack, all the potential that this plant could provide to all of us. We just don't even know yet.
Yeah.
Because we do have these regulations, that doesn't allow us to do that. And maybe for good reason, but I don't know,
Yeah. Oh, well, one thing that I've been really loving about this MJ Impact, and I know that it's been at others too, is the scientists.
Yes.
And really hearing about some of the interesting things that they're doing and the breakthroughs. And for me, I get bored very quickly, and with cannabis that has not happened, and it's been, going on 20 years now, but we're always learning new things. We're always being disproven of things that we thought were truths. And to be able to have that open-mindedness and the conversations, I think, are just so incredibly rich. And, we have a lot of conversations about industry, but at the heart of it is something that's always been there. Like you were saying, community and the movement, because we have so much work to do. Safe access is still an issue. Getting people out of jail is still an issue. Building a stronger community, so in times that are trying, instead of people getting frustrated and working against one another, we look at ways to lift each other up and work together and have that high vibration, which I think is just so essential. And I feel like your events bring people together in such a way of celebration that people relax and get to see each other as individuals rather than what we're representing in the larger business scheme of things. It's more heartfelt connections. Give the gift that everyone will remember this holiday season, the 12 J's of Christmas gift box. This limited edition collection features 12 premium pre-rolls from 12 sun-grown farms in Humboldt, Mendocino, and Trinity counties. It's the ultimate gift for craft cannabis lovers and a way to support small farmers in the Emerald Triangle. Hurry, quantities are limited. Reserve yours now at emeraldtrianglecraft.com.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And that's the purpose,
Yeah.
That's the purpose of why you do it. You wonder, what's your purpose? To me, it's just like really making that connection. I've had people who've gotten married. I've got people that were business partners. I've got people that have turned into like that. Like, to me, like having that opportunity to do that, I think is certainly really special. And in this particular community, it's even more special for me because, our creed is built on sharing. Our creed is built on passing. Our creed is, that's what it is. And I think if we can make a bigger effect, it's like, you go out there with that love. You go out there with that mentality in this crazy world, and you just, imprint yourself, because that's who you are. And the more we do that, we could create something that, and I think that's what our, whatever, call it religion, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Treating people amazing, right? Of sharing, doing that sort of stuff. That's a pretty amazing, like, big group of people, if we look at it from that point of view.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that those connections become really inspirational as well. So instead of competition, we look at each other and we think, what can I learn from you? Yeah. What drives me to do whatever it is I do better and with more heart, and with these connections and the support of these people that I'm making these connections with.
Yeah, and not everyone knows how to make connections, you know what I mean? It's like we almost got to kind of like, I'll look at anyone that's here and just like, I'm going to open up. Like, that's what we got to do too. We got to also reach out, right? Just not just grab the hands that are, or again, touch us. Like, we got to actually reach out a little bit farther, right? And pull people in on people that don't understand that are experts in other things.
Yeah.
Right? So I think certainly providing that, atmosphere for everybody is great in creating a great event, so.
It is. I mean, because we're very nascent.
Yeah.
We're very new, and it's super exciting to see people bringing their talent and heart and knowledge into this space.
Yes.
And to be able to enrich what we're doing, because we've had, I remember when I first started, there were a lot of really passionate, smart people that knew a lot about cannabis, but navigating the legal business world was a whole other ball of wax.
Yeah.
And, we've seen kind of the fluctuations of what happens when you choose different partners and where they're coming from and what the intent is. And what I see now is some really engaged people that not only are incredibly smart and talented, but have an incredible love for the plant and what we're doing. And that's, I think, where a lot of magic happens.
Yeah. I think if you are able to survive like the challenges that any operator has gone through, then you'll know that that's already a win. And then you start getting into finance and you get into partners. That's another hurdle. Building companies often is just like a multiple of just really big hurdles that come together at the right time. And, you know, certainly, you know, people that have been around for a long time, you give them their flowers because they're really bulletproof. At the same time, too, they're at the prime position if there was any opportunity to consolidate or to do anything, then it would be, you know, worth their while to do that. And I mean, I know great operators. I mean, just coming to you know, MJ Impact and just shaking hands with people from Oregon to Chicago. I mean, it's pretty admirable. So I watch from afar and I just admire it. And plus I just want to then, what's the next time we can get everyone together?
Yeah.
That to me is like just the most exciting part. It's like, how do we get to, you know, everyone's going to be there. Let's just see each other again. And I think I love that aspect of this. So.
I love that too. Yeah. And it's, there's an excitement, a positivity that is just, it just races through here when people, you know, share what they're doing, or just the fact that they get to see one another. Yeah. I mean, because like when we saw each other on the floor, it's like, it's so nice to see you in person. It's so different than having a Zoom call or something like that. Yeah.
It's truly, you know, it's multiple, you know what I mean? It's really like on a multiple level. You can never do that digitally. You can never do it through text, you know. A couple handshakes, a couple hugs have been really, truly effective and really just, you know, I mean, that's why we're here.
Yeah. Those are the lasting ties because you have these experiences. Yeah. And hospitality really dovetails into that so beautifully because it creates that fertile space for even more of that. And when we look at, you know, cannabis and how we're seeing legalization throughout the country and we're seeing more events and activations, what do you see as far as the future of hospitality and cannabis? What do you see and what are you excited about?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely excitement because it's better than what it's been. It's going to be better than what it's been, which has been really oppressive. And, you know, the idea that alcohol is out there in massive quantity when cannabis, which is legal in a lot of states, don't have that same opportunity to have that publicity. I would even say a safer route, like when it came to just recreational, right? Because again, when you're doing that, it's a recreational message, you know? So needless to say, you know, we spent our lifetimes trying to like, to introduce this plant to the world and open it to everyone. But as it becomes open, she becomes more, you know, mature and is out there and meeting her challenges, you know. But I always remember a long time ago, it's just like, just hearing, it's just like, the purpose is to be out there in the world. Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of challenges. And she goes up from a hippie child, like all of our hippie parents, you know, just taking care of our hippie little baby. And then it just becomes bigger. And it's like, oh, I'm making my own decisions. And you know what I mean? I want to live, you know what I mean? And then I was like, oh, cool. And then I want to go and, you know, I want to be, but, you know, what is it? I want to be with everyone, right? I want the ability for people to have. And I think that's what it is. Yeah. The ability. That's all. You don't have to. But you know what? I think you should have the choice.
Yes, absolutely. And, you know, that just brought up a thought for me. So we see places like Georgia and Minnesota where they're allowing consumption of euphoric hemp beverages in bars and restaurants. What an interesting white paper on showing policymakers that cannabis and alcohol can be in the same room in social situations. Because as somebody who works in policy, one of the biggest things that I always hear in committee is, how can we have them in the same room? People are going to get hurt. Crazy shit's going to happen. And as we're seeing in these states that are allowing this, you know, whether you call it hemp or cannabis, it's the same plant. And grown-ups are successfully navigating and enjoying it. And the fact of the matter is people who like to indulge in alcohol like to hang out with their pot-smoking friends.
Yeah, it's just called, responsible extravagance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Conscientious indulgence, right? You're just, you have to have the forefront to understand what your levels are. And a lot of it's education. A lot of it too is like, but there's a lot to learn. Like you said, like this is the opportunity to figure out what works and what doesn't work. Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, what goes into law should be researched as something of a safety measure, because to me, I'd rather have compliant and safe than anything in my way. Do we know how are we going to know? What test are we going to take to make sure that this is actually something that is safe? So we won't know, but I think people should have the choice at some point. To me, we see consumption lounges pop up everywhere across the United States, and I love it. Mm-hmm. I think people should have the choice. Do I like it separately? I actually enjoy it separately. I think it's not a terrible idea, and maybe I haven't really thought through it my whole part. Should I do it together? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, is it Amsterdam? Can you have a pint? And you know what I mean? It's just... Yeah. And to me, there's that responsible, that is normalization of what is going on, right? To me, everyone that's intoxicated, no matter what, if you own a bar, someone that's intoxicated, it's legal to stop them from being too intoxicated. So I think there's this regulation that we all have to talk about. And, if there's a way, when you talk about nascent, our earth, I think it's just like we're just barely, doing.
We're barely scratching the surface. Like when we were in Barcelona to do some recordings of Planted, we went to Choco Lounge, which Cedric was such a lovely host and so gracious. But the fact that you could have a beer and have a joint, or, and I do think that there's still a place for cannabis only lounges, because there's something really lovely about being somewhere where that's the specialization, and maybe you have a beautiful flight of hash that you taste while you're spending time with friends.
All about it. I always have been. You know what I mean? Ever since I went to Amsterdam many years ago, it's just like the idea of sitting there, being able to buy it, sit down and roll it is such an honor when you're, it's a unicorn thing to do when you're watching High Times under your bed. You know what I mean? It's just like you're scared.
Yeah.
You're scared. You're fucking scared.
Yeah.
Because that's what you are. You're scared of having weed. You're scared of doing whatever. But it was pretty liberating, and I just certainly think that had an effect on, how we're trying to introduce, to me, cannabis into, events and those type of things. How do we do it safely? Mm-hmm. How do we do it safely? Like alcohol would be on the other side, right? How do we set those rules up? And, I'm fascinated with that. In Washington, they're trying to fix that right now, because to me, it's just like, sales are falling off because there's no education. People aren't understanding it. It's becoming so overregulated that people won't, even entertain trying it, even though it could save their arthritis, even though it could save their, cancer. I mean, there's just so many aspects that this plant, if, discussed the correct way.
Right.
Right. And the ability to do it would be very beneficial.
Yeah, I always like to say conversation is normalization.
Yeah.
When you make it less scary, like when I worked in a dispensary, sometimes somebody would come in, it would be their last ditch effort to help with whatever symptom management stuff that they have. And sometimes the first thing they'd say to me is, will anyone know that I'm here? No. Well, I'm not a stoner and I'm not into drugs. Okay. But are you into feeling good? Are you into creating balance? We have a lot of different ways, a lot of different modes of use, a lot of options that we can look at. Tell me how you want to feel. What will make you feel safe? And then you go from there.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, cannabis is not going to be for everybody.
No.
I mean, I just think that's the whole thing. Is just like I think if you respect that, you know what I mean, you'll realize that it doesn't fix,
It's not a panacea.
anything for anybody. It's just like, unless you have a connection with what it is, but the only way to do that is to feel like you can or not.
Yeah.
And I just think that, the benefits from what I see will outlive the other parts of it. So to me, I feel very strongly that if we do present it in a real meaningful, way that is not so demonized, then I think certainly will, we can change a couple more minds, I suppose.
Yeah. When I used to teach my classes, I used to tell people, I'd teach them about the endocannabinoid system and let them know that we created our own endogenous cannabinoids. And then I would say, and that being said, not everybody tolerates phytocannabinoids, which is what comes from cannabis. And that's all right. Because as human beings, I feel like in many ways, we can make a quick snap decision if it's not right for us, or if maybe the set and setting weren't appropriate and so we didn't have a positive experience. We decide that nobody should have it. That there's conversations that we should have so people understand not everything's for everybody. Everything we put in our bodies creates a reaction. And I also, like to talk about the fact that for those of us who are open to it, it's a call to mindfulness, to pausing, to being aware of what's going on with our bodies, like going back to whatever we put in our bodies creates a reaction. And so it can actually be that moment of calm in this crazy world where we're inundated with everything and we lose track of our bodies and our emotions. It's actually a call back to the self.
Yeah. And I think it's just simple as that, I know a lot of people that now are consuming in the most, the best brands are out doing the right thing for consumers. Right. So when you receive it, you really now can figure out if you're experimenting dosage point of view of like whether or not this is going to help out that. And I think that like kind of utilizing that type of efficacy and like to me, that's why I really appreciate it's like people who follow standards, people that are compliant. I think like there's something to be said about that. The policy's perfect, probably not. But simply, the case is, what I mean? We're trying to follow and, I think everyone has the, safe access. Everybody should have that safe access. Everyone should have that access. But I also feel like the producers of that should also be able to benefit from the hard work.
Yeah.
So on that other side, is there a way to share in that success? I would like that very much.
Yeah. Yeah. I before legalization, I used to look at it as, because when I moved to San Francisco, I came as an artist. I got here during the tech boom, went into corporate, fucking hated it. And then I went into nonprofit. And then after cancer, went into cannabis. And the one thing I noticed then at that time, when all of these medical programs were supporting their communities and giving so much back, we had a chance to create a model for conscious capitalism where the people who are doing the hard work get to benefit, but all the communities benefit as well. Not as a panacea, not as a we can close the financial gap in every single state, but directly in our communities, the beautiful things that can happen from that.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Fat Nugs Magazine, a global perspective of cannabis and stoner culture as a bridge to the rest of the world. Right now, you can join Fat Nugs Magazine, Beard Bros Farms, Freedom Grow, and Jailed for Weed in the upcoming Prisoners Edition and help spotlight current and past cannabis prisoners and their stories, because no one should be in jail for a plant. Find Fat Nugs Magazine's beautiful print copies at your local dispensary, fatnugsmag.com, and on socials. Cannabis culture welcomes us all.
Absolutely, and I agree, completely. I mean, you spoke earlier about just the, those imbalances for a long time, which that it always has been. If you've been around it for a long time, it's just like it has been about fear. it has been about changing lives. It's about, you know what I mean, very small penalties that have been turned into life-altering experiences where now you are away from your kids. You know what I mean? That to me is like mind-jolting if you put yourself into that role. But we don't all do that, right? So the idea that it's a little more open to expunge those that are happening, I think that's it, and it's happening, which I think is positive. Can we do more? Of course. It should be just one button.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Sure.
The fact that we get to be here and do this while people are in jail for doing the same things in a traditional market it shows we have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Lives get changed, you know, by the war on drugs. You know what I mean? It's just been, you know, it's time to recognize it always. So,
it is.
Yeah.
It is. And then I think, you know, the conversations that we have also help educate people who may be fascinated and have a passion for the plant, but may not know where we've come from and who supported it and who sacrificed so much, because, you know, that it's though we do talk about it, I don't know that it gets out there as much. Maybe the algorithm doesn't like it as much as some of the other things.
No, the story is told a different way. This is a long story. People will talk about the history of, you know, we'll be a part of that history and telling it. That's what we did, you know, with Dope Magazine. We talked about it. We just talked about the people in different stages of their lives, you know what I mean, and how it affected them. And the great part is everyone's changed. You know, that's the great part. It's like, you know, good, you know, things happen through those years. And I just certainly, you know, if cannabis is part of your life, it's just more about just that awareness. Just, you know, like I am a mother, I am a father, I am a like that. I'm a work. I do all these things, and I smoke, and I consume cannabis, and that's okay. And I think when you go represent yourself, like to me, no one talks, because I could still live this very fruitful life and still be a person of society, and you know, still be able to consume cannabis and love it.
Yeah,
So,
and that affects policy, because when the people that we vote into office start really seeing their constituents and see these people are successful, they pay their taxes, they contribute to society, and we vote, then we start to see change.
yeah, absolutely. And that's, you know, what you do. That's why I'm still here. I feel, you know, it's just like there's still more to talk about, and at some point there, you know, if it is, it isn't. But to me, I'll always be grateful for, you know, what this plan, and it'll always be a part of me, and it's always a part of my wellness plan, you know, mentally and physically, and it's been a part of it. So I don't see anything changing with that, and I'll keep on spreading that love, which I do basically every day. You know, anyone, you know, it's like, it's the truth. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So, being that you are a bit of a hospitality guru, in a perfect world where everybody could hang out in the same room, no matter what they chose to imbibe in, whether it was, you know, a martini or a beautiful hash hole, what would be like the perfect environment? What would be like your dream venue?
Right now it's going to be in Vegas. It's Orchid Suite, and we're going to do it right at the Industrial this coming December. And just, it's amazing that you say that, because that's exactly what we're going to build. You know, we're there to build an experience. We're there to bring together people from everywhere. And that's the only time of the year where you can bring everybody, you know, everywhere. I mean, I've seen people as far as, you know, Africa, Asia, any part of the world come into one place. So I think, you know, the Orchid Suite, which we're building on Thursday in December, you know, is going to be the culmination of that. And I think that's a wonderful way to celebrate a long week and a long year, and be able to also take the time to re-engage ourselves before we move into the new year. I always feel that's always a launching pad. So to me, what better way than to get together with people that, you know, you would rather not, you would not see otherwise. Mm-hmm. Like just walking today, it's like it's already filled. I mean, I'm already, you know, so fulfilled, you know, on that quota, and like to be able to do it in Vegas too is just something you just can't miss.
Yeah.
No.
I'm so looking forward to your party.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. We've been talking to people on the floor, and it's like, are you going to the party? And people who have never been to your party are like, what? And like, you have to go. And anybody else who's been to one of your parties are like, yeah, you have to go to a Tranimal party. That's where it's at. There's no party like a David Tran party. I mean, it's just a fact. And you have such a tight team. They're awesome. Like the work that you all do together is, and that is not me kissing your ass, David. It's just a fact.
It all starts with the good people that want to go. Like it's just, you know, and I think that's what I say is like, always thank you. You know, people bring different energy into a room. And I think if you build that friendship with people, then everybody brings that, and that's why it feels good. It's not because of me, it's because everyone's bringing in a piece of sunshine, right?
Yeah,
like everyone is, and they're feeling it. Isn't like, oh, I'm not coming with anything. I'm like, I'm coming really, you know, invigorated like that. Like, and so I think that's what's amazing. And you know, to me, it's just hospitality. Just make sure everyone feels welcomed, you know, and that's what it is. Just like that's it. Hospitality is just all about that feeling, you know, that you're appreciated, that you're. So yeah, we're excited. It's gonna be great tonight. I think everyone's we're doing rock-a-roke, which is you have a band behind you, so you have a drum set, a guitarist, and a bassist, and there's a list of songs that you can sing. So. You know, I have a song or two that I might throw out there. Yeah, it's one for a host and maybe another one as a rock, you know, a little louder.
I love it. I love it. I thought about doing it, but I'm a jazz singer, so I'm not sure if...
We'll discuss. I already know you. There's a couple artists that would be right up your alley. I know you would be amazing.
We'll have to talk about that.
Yeah, that sounds great. Why not?
For people who want to follow what you're doing and all the exciting things that happen at Farechild, and also to keep in touch if they're going to be going to Vegas, how do they do that? Yes,
Instagram at the Farechild, 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 and also our email, www.farechild.com. You know, mostly you're going to see us a lot on the social channels. We love being a part of the community. We're about to announce some of the award finalists, and then we're going to do a voting platform all the way till we do the party. And again, we're just super stoked that we could do the MJs, but we can also throw this huge party next door that is just going to just be dope as hell. So yeah, we're stoked.
Awesome. I'm so excited. I'm so excited to see all of our great colleagues that get recognized for the work. And thank you so much for being a beating heart of our community.
Thank you, Sara. Appreciate you.
Thank you. And everyone, remember, if you like listening, please give us a review, share it with a friend. Let us know what your favorite episodes are. And if you'd like to stay in touch over social media, we are Planted with Sara Pion on Facebook and Planted with Sara on Instagram and Twitter. You can also go to our website, www.plantedwithsara.com, or listen to us on our parent network, Radio Misfits Network, where there are other great podcasts, like one of my favorites, the Winemakers Podcast. So check it out. You can listen to Planted wherever you listen to your favorite podcast, whether that's Pandora, Spotify, Amazon, Google, Apple, Stitcher, TuneIn. We are there. So join us. And until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and remember, it's a wild world out there. Be good to one another. Until next time, take care.